Oh, don't whisper.
Are we live?
Well, it says stop. It says live.
It does?
Look at that. It says live.
Stop. Oh, hey, we're live.
We're
there
live.
we go. Hey, welcome to Vidcast number
31.
31. You might hear a little bit of noise going in and out. It's not my dogs this time.
People talking.
People talking. We're in the middle of game night. Hey, everybody, say hi to the camera. Yes. See, they're all out there. We got a lot of fans out here today.
So
live studio audience.
Yeah, that's it. A lot of people, I guess, didn't feel like working today.
Yes.
So we started early, and, well, we had to get this done. And the reason we got this done, wanted to get this done, is because we just came off of a great weekend.
We did.
At the San Francisco Bay Area Produce Field Unpub at Game Castle in Santa Clara.
For those of you who might not know all those interesting words he just used, what we're talking about is a Produce Field Unpub. What we're talking about is that this new concept is being generated of holding small conventions where people bring their prototypes, games that haven't been taken to market. They want to be play tested. They want to be connected with a publisher. Publishers are looking for new opportunities or new ideas. That's all it is. And we just did the first one. How many people showed up?
Well, you say we. Let's give credit where credit's due. One of our friends from our game night.
Jeremy Commander. So, yeah, we. He didn't take any of our advice.
Which is a good thing.
Which is a really good thing. He had
175 or 179. I can't remember which one of those
showed up for the very first one.
And there might be some
numbers.
stragglers. That's actually huge numbers. I know people think, 50,000 at Gen Con, whatever, but these are people specifically
to the San Francisco Bay Area or California. We had people fly in from
Arizona,
Houston, Arizona, Southern California, which we considered a whole nother. Massachusetts. I mean, it brought in some talent.
Some good designers. So it got me thinking, though. One of the things that I first walked in, and Richard wasn't there on a Friday, but I walk in on the Friday, and the first thing that I walk in, which is why we're calling this Beyond the Game.
Beyond the Game.
Beyond the Game. Because beyond your game, Richard feels very strongly about this. I do too. But he was the one who said that your game is more than just, or your company and your brand, it's more than just the game. So when I walked in, there was one guy with his prototype. He used a ruler to make it squares and bases and all this other stuff, but it looked like it was on cardboard. And he wasn't dressed properly, what I would consider properly. I'm not saying a suit or anything crazy like that, but it kind of put me off to even want to sit down. Is that wrong?
It's not wrong, but before we say that you have to be perfect, what we're saying is that there's some simple things you can do to present yourself in a professional manner, even if it is just a prototype. If I was to dress nicely and have an ugly-looking game, that would probably go over better to have a beautiful-looking game and dress ugly, to use a phraseology. The whole presentation of yourself, so many people, when they walk up, they're judging your game based on you.
Yeah.
They're looking at your energy level. They're looking at your presentation skills. They're looking at all these different things that they're going to judge. Should I pay attention to this thing over here based on the personality that I see?
Yeah, so beyond your box, the way the art looks, beyond whatever your sample cards, and well, of course your sample cards should be nice, but I veered towards the games that seemed people who put some money and time and effort into the graphics, the layout of their prototypes.
And in today's day and age with Game Crafter and so many other resources out there that allow you to create prototypes.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, with that said, this was our first one.
This is the first one.
And people some people just came in and said, I got this idea, what a perfect opportunity. It was a fairly low price point to come in. So we're not knocking it.
Low price point, it was $1.
Yeah, to test other people's games.
It was $0 if you're pre-registered and $1 at the door. It was quite a thing. But everybody pretty much won a game, so it was kind of like that.
And Aldo was able to be very generous on that.
Well, my clients were very generous.
Yeah.
Donating games. Some of you donated games.
But here's what we want to talk about, and that is this presentation and this whole marketing thing. Let me give you an example. A friend of mine who's been on my podcast a couple of times, his name's Howard Taylor, and he and I had a discussion, and he considers this little discussion he and I have, he calls it the $10,000 conversation. It was, how do you want to present yourself to the public, whatever it is, it doesn't matter what it is, just make it consistent. Make it consistent across the board. So in his case, Howard picked a uniform that he became known for, a certain kind of boots. He actually wears a certain kind of boots. He travels the world looking for these, I call them moon boots, but they're a certain kind of heavy-duty boot, a certain shirt type, certain look, and that is his brand. And when he steps out of that brand, people notice, and he notices the reaction and interaction. Find your brand. Find the way that you want to look.
Yeah, and so, these people, does it say you have to dress up? Of course not. But if you're sitting here and you're presenting one of your games, you never know who could walk up. I mean, there could be somebody with $1 million just ready to start a game company. Hey, but you're in your shorts and your t-shirt and your flip-flops. I don't know, just even if it's jeans.
Unless
even if
your brand is shorts, t-shirt, and flip-flops. You can go with that brand.
If you're doing a beach game and your theme is beach-like and you want your Hawaiian surfer shirt.
But you have a bit of a, so when you go to because you talk conventions.
Yes.
When you go, how do you look?
I used to actually, in the beginning, when I first started doing it part-time and even part full-time, I was still going in shorts and t-shirts because I felt, oh, it's the game industry. It's kind of like, woo, you know, just hang loose. But then, honestly, there were a couple of my close friends who kind of made comments about it to me. Not insulting, but they're just like, oh, Aldo, just relax in here in your shorts and your t-shirts. And I thought about it after a while. And even in places where it's super hot weather, whatever, at minimum jeans and a nice collared shirt. You even see me here. I don't think Richard and I have ever worn t-shirts on this, and that's just because we want to make sure you guys even think that there's something nice about us.
So we put some effort into that. Today it was, you know, we've gone with the polo shirt look, but sometimes, you know,
and we don't coordinate.
These
solid polos, that was not coordinated.
The fact that we don't have any pants on, that kind of ruins the whole. Yeah. Hey, so we got looks from the studio audience.
They're all checking us out. So that to me is the biggest takeaway that I would say. Take away from the convention this weekend.
A couple of little things then. Breath mints.
Oh,
take breath mints with you every time. I don't care if you don't have bad breath or not. Just take them, have them, use them, because you're interacting with the public and they're forming that opinion. When I got ready to go to this thing this weekend, I stopped to get something to eat. I love onions, and it was suddenly as I'm about to order my hamburger, I think I'll pass on the onions. And it was like, why? Well, because that's just a tiny little thing. Breath mints. Shave, bathe, personal hygiene. Don't go just grubbed out because it's casual and everything. Take the time to clean yourself up.
We're not talking like, I worked in the video game industry and I was wearing suits all the time. And we're not talking about crazy stuff like that. Just present, because there are so many things under the marketing umbrella that we've always talked about. And branding your company, yourself, your line, things like this are part of it. And again, I just saw it at this show and I said, I hope most of these people, if they do get their game published, that when they're presenting or demoing in a more professional or bigger convention, that they look a little more professional,
like you belong there.
So, but beyond all of that, I would say.
Well, let's just take a quick segue there, because you've mentioned something that's been a discussion. It was a discussion at this con too, and that is presenting yourself online in a professional, consistent business manner. So, do you brand your game company or do you brand yourself? And that's been a big discussion out there, and so there's some difference of opinion. What's your take on that?
I don't know. You're talking to a guy with his name Aldo, and I'm pretty much, I think, the only Aldo in the industry. So when people have been referring to me, they just say, oh, you're one of Aldo's clients. They're just not saying, oh, you're an Impressions client. They just say Aldo. And I'm still not sure if that's good or bad. I think it's good for people to get to know me because it's easier. They go, oh, Aldo, that's easy. People really don't know my last name, let alone how to pronounce it. They just say Aldo. So, and that's fine. I guess that is pretty good.
And I would argue that Aldo has done a great job of branding himself. It's all about Aldo, and you know who Aldo is. I can just say Aldo, and everybody knows it. No. That's because I could ask some of you, if Aldo hadn't given the answer away, what's the name of his company, and you might not even recall it, even though you're on his YouTube channel right now watching this.
It says Impressions Vidcast.
It might be like, what's that? What's it called?
Yeah. So we've had that a couple times. So
this is where I want to go with this. Social media, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, all these different places. I see people sometimes use an inconsistent presence out there. Sometimes they're using their name, sometimes they're not. I have a definitive opinion about that. I recommend that you get at least 2 handles, as they're from the old CB days. Those of us are older remember the term handle. On Twitter, get yourself your business name and your real name. Why in the world would you use your real name?
Just in case.
Just in case. But also because things are going to change. Your company might grow big and become really big, but it might not, and you might have to relaunch and do something else. The one consistent through all of your activity online is you. Not your game, not your company, but you. And so pursue you as a representative of the company. Pursue you as a representative of the game. Don't have the game be a representative of the
And that's kind of funny you're saying this, because now I think about it, when I'm doing Free RPG Day, on my Twitter and my Facebook, I do answer things a lot different. There's not as much,
because you
jubilant personality.
Because you have a free RPG day Twitter handle.
Twitter and Facebook. So when I answer a lot more professional, a lot more succinct. Not a lot of jokes or little, tongues out. But when I'm posting on Facebook and some of these Kickstarter places, I will sometimes be a little bit more tongue-in-cheek. It's kind of funny you say that. I never really thought about it, but by default, I see you're posting as Free RPG Day. Ta-da! So, thanks for that.
You're welcome. Here's the other thing. On Twitter particularly, I don't read your name. I do the first time that you connect with me. If you tweet something or share it, I'll go ahead and follow you, and that's the first time, and it might be the last time I see your name. From then on, I look at your icon, your avatar, your image. And for people who change that, now we've talked about this before, people who change that avatar on a regular basis lose me because I'm not reading your name. I'm just scanning through all the thousands of people I'm trying to pay attention to, and I'm looking for your name. And if I go to Facebook or YouTube, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, I'm looking for your picture, not your name.
That's two things you've now because I do that on Facebook. When I go through my newsfeed, I look on the profile pics, and I choose what I want to read based off of that. So anyway, so I would say, I don't know, I think some people think we're kind of silly sometimes. Some people may think this is a ridiculous subject to talk about. I personally don't, because I think down the road now, after doing this for so many years, now it is par and parcel for who I am, what I am, and what my business is. And people know that they can sit down and have a drink with me and have a laugh, hopefully.
And remember you.
And remember you.
Here's the other thing with business cards. How important are business cards? I don't carry them anymore. If you can't remember my name, Richard Bliss, go Google me. And so that's another reason that it's not the name, it's not the company, but it's the name of the person.
Yeah.
And it becomes easier in today's day and age to not worry about the actual business card.
My business cards are so embarrassing. They're black and white, one color, but I've had them for like 10 years. But anyway.
Just remember. So let me give you a piece of advice. We're going to wrap up probably just a little bit.
Because we have two more people that just walked in, which one of them was Jeremy from the Produce Field Unpub. But he just walked away for a second. But
so let me tell you about a resource you can go use to figure out what handle or name you want to use, because try to be consistent. The website, I think I've shared it here before, is called Knowem, Knowem.
That you mentioned that on one of our first Vidcasts,
I did.
Definitely, and I remember it too.
Knowem, Knowem, whatever.
You basically, it'll see if you can get all your handles across all these media networks.
So Aldo goes out there, he goes to Knowem, it's free. He types in, my name's Aldo, as the handle he wants, and it'll show him on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, Vimeo, Pinterest, all of them where my name's Aldo is available or taken. I'm guessing that it's available.
Yeah, my name's Aldo. Well, you'll see. So the last thing we'll do, we'll just say, obviously you've been looking at these products. These are new releases. For impressions, 2 Octon Cthulhu RPG books from Modiphius out of the UK. So if you followed Octon Cthulhu, the magazine that they do, this is a role-playing game based in the whole that world. And then C.C. Higgins Rail Pass, your train game, as people like, a little bit heavier train game. It's not your simple take the ride, $60 heavy solid game.
We like to recognize our corporate sponsors.
Yeah, corporate.
And we just want to a shout out to our live studio audience. Is our live studio audience out there? There they are. All right.
So we're going to get gaming right now because that's what we do on these Mondays, as we've always invited people, and people have come early before.
And have taken us up on it.
And
thanks for watching.
Thank you very much.
We'll catch you next time.
Now I'm going to walk around and click.
Okay.
We can both do it. Oh, we got claps too before we
have any applause? Any applause?